Hello, it's me again, and this week's vlog is the first of the 11 Doctor specials, starting of course with the first Doctor, played by the wonderful William Hartnell. First appeared on screens on November the 23rd, 1963, almost 50 years ago. This was the Doctor in his original form before he had undergone any regenerations. Physically, he had the appearance of a well-dressed elderly gentleman, although he was, of course, actually the youngest of the Doctors that we've known. He was a very mysterious and intriguing character with quite little known about him. To begin with, he came across as very arrogant and irritable, with very little patience for people. Very different to the Time Lord that's on our screens now. However, the companions that he travelled with were seen to have an effect on him over time, bringing out his softer and more human qualities. He had a very sharp wit and intelligence, despite often appearing confused. In a lot of ways, this Doctor behaved a lot more alien. He didn't relate to humans like he does nowadays, and he was a lot more ruthless, often putting his own interests before others. In fact, in his first serial, An Unearthly Child, his companion Ian had to prevent him from killing an injured caveman by bludgeoning him with a rock. He also threatened to eject Barbara and Ian from the TARDIS. When we first meet him, he's living with his granddaughter Susan in the TARDIS, which is packed in a junkyard. Susan is attending high school on Earth, and eventually her teachers Barbara and Ian go travelling with them. Very little is known about the Doctor and Susan, although we do come to learn that they were exiled from their home planet and that they come from another time. The Doctor has quite a strong attachment to Susan, although eventually he does leave her behind on Earth to live a life after a very touching farewell. It's in this incarnation that Doctor first encounters the Daleks on their home planet, Skaro, and these will of course go on to become his greatest enemy. The Doctor didn't have a sonic screwdriver at this time, although he did have a ring which he could use to control the TARDIS, open doors and facilitate hypnotism. Towards the end, the Doctor's first body was becoming worn out and tired, and he met his end after defeating the Cybermen and collapsing in the TARDIS, which was when he underwent his first regeneration, much to the shock of his companions, Ben and Polly. The concept of regeneration hadn't actually been planned from the start. This was decided when Hartnell was becoming too ill to carry on in his role, and they come up with it as a means of continuing with the show after he'd left. Hartnell played the Doctor between 1963 and 1966. He also returned for the 10th anniversary episode, The Three Doctors, and he was played by another actor, Richard Hurndall, in The Five Doctors in 1983. Sadly, quite a lot of William Hartnell's episodes as the Doctor have been lost from the BBC archives. The first Doctor was a fascinating character. He's where it all began, and he did a brilliant job. He was wonderfully brought to life by William Hartnell, who very sadly passed away in 1975, but he left behind a true legacy with the character, because nobody could have predicted back then what the show would go on to become, and that it would be still going on today. Of course, I can't sum up everything about the character in these few minutes, but if you've anything to add, please do leave comments below or any questions. I'd love to read them. I shall see you next week when I'll be talking about the second Doctor, played by Patrick Troughton. Goodbye.